Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit.
Okay, welcome back, all you citizens of the world. It's time for the third segment of this week's Live from the Heartland. And I saw an announcement for a neighborhood bookstore called Heirloom Books, and they were going to have an event about Allen Ginsberg and his poem Howl. And I remember seeing Allen Ginsberg in my youth when I was at Berkeley, along with Ken Kesey. I remember reading Wichita's Sortex Vutra or Vutek Sortra, whatever that one is called. I don't think I ever read Howl, but I am glad to know that it's going to be presented, or in a program about it's going to happen in my neighborhood. So we asked Finn Halpern to come on the show and tell us what's going on. Good morning to you, and fill us in.
Good morning. Yes, so us at Heirloom Books, we're a nonprofit used bookstore in Rogers Park, and I'm the event coordinator of Heirloom Books. I'm the one putting on this event for Howl, this celebration of a great American work. For those that don't know, Allen Ginsberg, the author, he's often credited as one of the founders of the Beat generation, Beat movement. This, accompanied by figureheads like Jack Kerouac and William S. Burroughs and Neil Cassidy. These great names in American literature. And if those who are unfamiliar with the idea of a beatnik or the Beat generation, this is a sort of anti-consumerist, very sort of like counterculture, subculture that existed during like the 40s and 50s and eventually evolved into what we may know as hippies. They were so interesting and vibrant and creative and inclusive. And that's something that kind of drew me to them. So Allen Ginsberg, very famously wrote this poem, Howl, sometime between 1954 and 1955, and read this poem aloud at the Sixth Gallery in San Francisco. Almost immediately after this reading in the Sixth Gallery at San Francisco, Ginsberg and the organizer of the event were charged with obscenity. There was a really big trial about the poem because it was so powerful and had so many images in it that were considered obscene at the time, specifically to do with like homosexuality and sodomy. Allen Ginsberg is gay. So there was a trial about the poem and eventually was found to not be obscene. But the poem gained so much popularity and moved so many people because it is, if those are people are unfamiliar, it is a series of extremely vivid and often surreal images that hit you over and over and over. Every line is just a new, strong vignette that comes from the genius of Allen Ginsberg. Just one after another, after another, after another. And it's one thing to read it, but it's another thing to hear it live, which a lot of people did at the Sixth Gallery when it was originally performed. And like how people will on March 30th at this event, where I will be performing it live to pay homage to this grand history of the oral tradition of the Beat generation. I have found that we need optimism in art. And I think that a lot of the feelings that we would find in the Beat generation are reemerging today. This capitalist disillusionment, this political rage, and the surreal creation, or the surreal manifestation of our feelings in art is important. And it's something that I think a lot of people resonate with, especially in my new generation. I feel when I read Howl, a lot of these images from 50 years ago, half a century ago, maybe more, are back. Or are...
Yeah, they're back.
They're back. And so a lot of people struggle to find the words that speak to these strong feelings, and I'm like, I've got good news for you. Somebody already did a long time ago, and they published it out. So I would encourage those who are experiencing political rage and that capitalist disillusionment to seek out the Beat Generation.
I'm really glad, I'm enthused that you are so enthusiastic about it. And, Howl has really come around. It was very controversial at first. It gradually has become recognized as a great work of American literature. It really calls out against societal constraints. I think it was Lawrence Ferlinghetti at City Lights Books who initially published it, and as you pointed out, they were all busted, and there was a big trial about it. I'm also a fan of Lawrence Ferlinghetti, and I'll give you one line of one of his poems. Sometimes during eternity, some cats show up, and one who shows up kind of late is a kind of carpenter cat from some square-type place like Galilee, claiming that anyhow, it goes on. And I remember reading these things. I'm not sure I grasped what they all meant. What actually drew you to Ginsberg in the first place? Where did you discover him? Where did you find him?
I think I approached the Beat Generation kind of backwards. I started with Bob Dylan. I liked Bob Dylan's lyrics, and Bob Dylan worked a lot with Allen Ginsberg, and some could describe him as maybe a second generation beat poet. But from there, I read On the Road and got really into Kerouac, Dharma Bums, the Subterraneans, and just immediately when I started, the way I actually found him was I started looking up On the Road all of the character equivalents, right? So like Dean Moriarty is Neil Cassidy. So Carlo Marx in On the Road is the equivalent for Allen Ginsberg, even though Allen Ginsberg was never a communist. But still, I was interested to see, because I had read some of Neil Cassidy's stuff, and I wanted to get into the rest of the Beat Generation, and so Ginsberg was a natural next step. And then I read Howl, and it was this like a mind-altering, life-changing experience, as it was for a lot of poets. Like, it is pretty well recorded that there are people who have read Howl, and it has drastically altered the way that they write and live, as was the case for me.
Well, Finn Halpern, give us the details one more time. I think it's March 30th. What day is that?
Sunday, March 30th, from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. at 6239 North Clark Street. That is Heirloom Books at 6239 North Clark Street.
I want to thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to meeting you.